Today, I want to talk about how to reinvent yourself in your 20s. Lately, I have been hearing the same thing from so many people around me, my friends, my coaching clients, people who on the outside seem like they have it all together. But what I have heard share a common thing. They kept saying things like, I just don't know what I am doing with my life anymore. I feel like I lost my sense of direction. I used to have goals. Now I'm just don't know what are they anymore. And what's interesting is these are people who are doing well by society standards. A PhD candidate, an associate at a big firm, a friend who just moved into her dream apartment. And I get it because I felt it too. Think about this. Growing up, we always have a clear timeline. Go to school, get good grades, go to college, land a job, maybe get another degree. However, this predictable cycle wouldn't run forever. It ends drastically in our early 20s when we have graduated from college. If we decided to go to graduate school, we get another few years. So when we were at school, our goal was often graduating and land a dream job. But what happened after we actually get that dream job? I remember for the longest time, my dream was to become a lawyer. And after I got a job at a big law firm as a corporate lawyer, my dream had come true. But what's next? Climbing the corporate ladder? That doesn't exactly sound like what I wanted to do. But I just didn't know what to expect. No one ever told us what comes after the checklist ends. I know a lot of us in our 20s or early 30s are seeking answers for the same question. That's why this episode was created. We're going to talk about how purpose can shift and why it's not always found in big milestones and what it means to stay curious, especially when things feel foggy. But first, let's find out the reason behind feeling lost. The first reason is you have outgrown the external marker of success. You feel empty because you've outgrown the old goals. Some goals used to motivate you and kept you going for so many years, but they're only supposed to carry you for that long. I get it. I spent years chasing goals. I wanted good grades. I wanted to get into prestigious college and a law school. I wanted to be a lawyer at a big law firm. And in the past, they gave me purpose. They helped me to grow. They gave me a structure, motivation, even a sense of identity. But I don't feel happy when I finally reached my goals because the new problem came. I don't want what I used to want, but I don't know what I want next. It can be terrifying, but I wanted to offer you a new way to look at this. This isn't a quarter life crisis. It's a sign of maturity. It means that you're officially past the season of chasing external validations. Sounds awesome, right? You're not lost. Trust me. You just wanted to walk away from goals that no longer align with who you are right now. People say life is a voyage. If you use this metaphor, the goals are like the transportations that get you from point A to point B. Some goals are like a boat. Some goals, they're like a raft. Maybe for a period of time, a raft is what you need to get to the next destination. But once you reach that destination, the raft can no longer carry you to the next point because you've outgrown the raft. And right now, you need to use a bigger boat. You can't just hold on to that little raft and hoping it could take you to all the places, right? This is the perfect time to start thinking new kind of questions like, what do I actually want to do in my life? What would a meaningful week look like for me now? If my CV, my title, and my career doesn't mean anything to me anymore, what would I want to do? I used to be so hung up upon what appears on my CV. I wanted to have a perfect CV that is so impressive that will get me to any fancy job, but I forgot to ask, what do I feel the most fulfilled? I am more fulfilled when I can actually create something that brings positive impact to people. And I'm glad that I have this podcast as a creative outlet. I'm really happy if this episode can help you, even just for a little bit. I'm glad that I've launched my life coaching business. And by the way, you can book a free one-on-one call with me if you need some navigation or guidance. Okay, enough about the advertise. Let's move to reason number 2. You haven't calibrated what purpose means to you. Let's go a layer deeper. This one is tied to the first reason. Sometimes the real issue isn't lack of motivation. It's that your definition of purpose is outdated or it's not complete. If you're an overachiever, and I'm guilty of this, you were probably raised on a version of purpose that sounds like this. My purpose is my career. My purpose is my contribution. My purpose is my productivity. My purpose is something big. Maybe that that worked in our early 20s. But if you're listening to this podcast right now, chances are you've changed. Your soul is asking for something deeper, something more human, and something more aligned to your inner girl. You don't want a purpose tied to your performance anymore. You want to live fully, right? And sometimes living fully means being deeply connected to self, saying yes to things that serve your energy, creating things that brings you joy, even if they don't bring wealth or status. So, what are they? If your purpose used to mean achieving, maybe now it means inner peace. Maybe it means expression. Maybe it means connection. It's the season to update the definition of your purpose. And you may kindly ask yourself, what makes me feel grounded? What makes me feel alive? What can nourish my body and my soul? After going through the reasons of losing focus, I have a few solutions that I've used that was proven effective to share with you. The first and the most effective one is to reconnect with your old hobbies. I made a lot of effort in finding my purpose again. And the most powerful thing I did was to reconnect with my old hobbies. Growing up, I was a dancer, not a professional one, but I was in a competitive dance ensemble and we used to dance a lot. When I'm dancing, it's like the most mindful moment in my life. I am focused on my muscle, my movements, and how I interact with the space and other dancers. I am so focused on this one thing and I filter out the noise from outside. And the most important thing is, it brought me back to who I was before I started trying so hard to be someone. Before all the pressure to build a perfect resume, to prove myself, to constantly chase what's next, I was just a girl who loved to dance, who felt alive moving to music, who didn't need a reason or a goal, just being happy. Getting back into dance helped me reconnect with that version of me. And I think that's what old hobbies can do. They remind us of the parts we didn't realize that we had lost along the way. The playful parts, the curious parts, the parts that didn't need to be productive or impressive to matter. It doesn't have to be anything big. You don't need to turn it into a new side hustle or share it online. Just doing something that lights you up, even just a little bit, can slowly bring your spark back. Because purpose isn't something you find out there, it's something you feel again when you finally give yourself permission to just be. The second one is reconnect with your purpose by grounding in micro purpose. When big picture purpose feels unclear, start small by asking the following questions. What can I do today that feels meaningful? What kind of conversations energize me? What values do I naturally embody? This is a really powerful method. When you feel the small and consistent meaningful moments, you will realize what is the most important to you. And naturally, you will know what's the next step. For instance, you know how I found out I should be a life coach? Growing up, I know I'm naturally empathy and I always wanted to bring positive impact to people around me. So I often offer help when my friends needed some guidance. People also came to me for advice. I just feel so energized when I saw them leave the conversation with clarity. And that's when I realized maybe I should take this to a bigger scale. I then started working on this podcast and launched my coaching business. And you should try this out. Let me know how it goes. The third way to regain your purpose is to commit to be curious all the time. I know that might sound empty. You might be wondering how to be curious all the time. But you know what helped me the most when I was feeling disconnected from my life purpose? It was curiosity. And I don't mean the kind of curiosity where you're desperately trying to figure out everything else or constantly asking what's next. I mean a more sustainable kind. The kind that says, I am open to any kind of possibility and let's see what happens if I follow this path for a little while. Because here's the truth, when we feel lost, we usually want clarity. We want a map, we want a compass, and we want to know what the destination is. But sometimes the only way out is to stop trying to solve your life like puzzle pieces and start exploring the possibilities again. It's not about making plans, not a 3-year plan, not a 5-year plan. I mean, you should have a plan, but that goes after getting clarity in life, aka having a purpose. So, being curious might look like signing up for a class even if you don't know what it will lead to. Starting a small creative project just because it's interesting. And that's what I did with this podcast. And the next one would be talking to new people without trying to to network, just to listen and have a genuine connection. Curiosity gives you permission to experiment without pressure, and everything you've learned along the way will be an asset to you somewhere down the line. And eventually, all those little experiments become a path, and that is your path. So if you're in that in-between space, feeling disconnected or uninspired, please note that this phase is a precious transition period of your life, a phase that may unlock endless possibilities if you just committed to being curious. Just remember, you're not behind. It's a transition period. The world is filled with noise like you should be married by a certain age, you should have a stable job and climb the corporate ladder by the age of 30 or 35, and you should have a kid. But sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to wait for the truth of your life to rise to the surface on your own timeline. And that's all for today's episode. If you like this, please give me a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to the podcast. I plan to hold a Q&A session soon, so if you have any questions for me, feel free to message me on Instagram. You can also book a free coaching call with me. The booking link is in the show notes. I'm so grateful to be here today, and thank you for listening.